There we go. Okay, today's Monday, the 27th day of Tevis. Good morning, Mayor. And we're on page 79 in Chayenu, and we're beginning chapter 17 in Tanya. The flow goes as follows. Oh, Steve had to run. Okay. Previously, the Tanya taught that when one strives to achieve a love and a fear of Hashem by harnessing one's natural governance of mind over heart, that's how we achieve a love, by thinking. We control our thoughts over our emotions, and instead of worrying about mundane, ice cream and candy and our trips to Mexico, instead we focus on what Hashem wants us to do and how we become closer to Hashem. By the way, there's nothing wrong with the trip to Mexico, especially if you're eating kosher and you're with Jewish people and you're re-energizing, maybe, whatever. We'll get into that another time. So what do? We meditate on God's. There's a lot wrong with it, right? Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Meditating on God's greatness, thereby attempting to produce the emotion. And if a person works on loving Hashem and fearing Hashem, but falls short, and he only develops an intellectual love and not an emotional love, this too can be linked to deed, serving as an inspiration to actually serving Hashem. As long as you're doing your part, do it the best you can. If you don't reach your goal, as long as you're trying. Now, this then is the answer as to how it's possible for every person to attain a love of Hashem, seemingly a high level. The last chapter already said that you reach a very high level, even if you just think about it. Just think about loving Hashem and fearing Hashem. Maybe you didn't reach the highest level, but he says, no, this allows you to reach the highest level. It refers to the intellectual love, which is a product of the mind. And every person, including a Rasha, who has lost self-control due to their indulgence, can harness the mind to develop this type of mental love, which then translates into action. Give an example: a person who all his life, either willingly or unwillingly, didn't learn Torah, didn't do mitzvahs, didn't keep Shabbos, and one day he says, you know what? I know a little bit, I'm going to learn more, and I'm going to start keeping. I'm going to start holding. So it was a mindset, it wasn't something else. In today's lesson, a human's mind inherently rules over the heart. Therefore, if a person just contemplates the greatness of Hashem, it will cause them to love Hashem and cleave to Hashem through Torah mitzvahs. We harness the mind. We think, if we use our brain to think, I want to be close to Hashem. Hashem loves me. I love Hashem. I fear Hashem. Once we start thinking that direction and thinking that way, it will lead to Torah and mitzvahs and all the things that we discussed. Perek Yud Zayin. And with this explanation, we'll understand the pasuk. This pasuk was on the first page before we even began the Tanya, the opening page of the book. It gives us this pasuk from Dvarim that this thing, what's this thing? The ability to cleave to Hashem is very near to you. It's in your mouth and in your heart that you may do it. At first glance, the statement that this thing is very near to you in your heart seems contradictory. In our experience, we find that it's not so simple. What do you mean it's so near and dear and easy to do? It's not, right? Let's fetch and complain. It's not easy. But Torah, yet the Torah is eternal. So if the Torah says it's easy, and this is in Dvarim, even though it was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai thousands of years ago, still it holds true to us today. So it has to be true. In our experience, however, we see that it's not so easy, and it's not a very near thing to change one's heart from worldly desires to a sincere love of Hashem. You're shaking the table, and it's shaking the camera. As it is written in Choves Halavavos, Introduction to Shar Avos Hashem, in Choves Halavavos, it's written, desires for worldly pleasures are unable to dwell in the heart together with the love of Hashem. So in order to attain the love of Hashem, you have to get rid of the worldly pleasures in your heart. Otherwise, it can't coexist. Indeed, commenting on Moshe's statement, what does Hashem ask of you but to fear him? And the Talmud asks, the Gemara asks, Is fear of heaven a small matter? By the way, we could all hold maybe we love Hashem, but fear Hashem, we're not talking about fear of something happening to us. It's the awe, the fear of heaven, that constantly thinking Hashem is right there watching us. If that was true and it was so easy, we would never do anything wrong. So, if this is true of fear, how much more so of love? Yeah, a moment ago I said, love is easy, but fear, no. Love is even harder than fear. Thus, not only our experience, but also this quote from the Talmud seems to contradict the pasuk, which states that love and fear that they're very close to you. How could it be close? That tzaddikim dafke libam b'shusam. Our sages have said that only tzaddikim have control over their hearts to love and fear Hashem whenever they desire. So how am I ever going to reach that? We're far from being a tzaddik. So the Rebbe points out that not only is it not very near to achieve love of Hashem, but on the contrary, it's only possible for tzaddikim to reach that love. So what should we do? Should we just give up? Ella de la when we say the words that you may do it, it refers to a love which merely leads to the fulfillment of the mitzvahs. Although strictly speaking, this is not an actual love. This is just a fake it till you make it love. I love Hashem and therefore I'm doing the mitzvah. Why else would I do the mitzvah? So maybe I'm not reaching the level of love of a tzaddik, but the love that assures that I will put on tefillin today, even though it's a superficial love, that I can reach. So the Tanya interprets the words that you may do it as a qualification of the earlier pasuk, for it's near to you, levavcha with your heart, which is near to you with your heart, meaning what sort of love is easily attainable? The love that pertains to action that you may do it. This means that the hidden desires of the heart, even if it does not burn openly like a fiery flame, nevertheless, it can still lead one to fulfilling a mitzvah. This matter of arousing a love which remains hidden in the heart is very easy and very near to every man who has a brain in his head. I have two friends that I'm thinking of right now, that one in particular grew up learning, studying in a very, observant home. He went away for many years, like maybe in his mind, I don't know where he was physically and mentally and spiritually. But to come back, all he has to do is just want to do it. Jumps back in. So maybe that's the superficial. Why would he do it if he didn't love to do it? Why would he learn Gemara if he didn't love to learn Gemara? Every day. Obviously he loves it. Maybe not yet on the level of a tzaddik. The superficial level is outwardly the level of a tzaddik because he's doing it. Or somebody who grew up without knowing Torah, mitzvahs, and everything else, and then decides one day I'm going to start coming to shul every Shabbos and help out with setting up the Kiddush and daven and learn and be involved in the Jewish community in Yiddishkeit. Nobody's forcing that person to do it. Why would they do it if they didn't love to do it? So sometimes you do it and then 3 years into it, one day you might say, I don't really want to do it, but I'm going to go anyway because I can't miss it. So you have that guilty feeling. But originally, what brought that person? The love. Maybe the year also. In his mind or her mind, we have control, even if the heart is not yet there. And with it, the person can meditate as he or she pleases on any subject. You think about it, you're like, you know what? It's good for me. I enjoy it. I'm going to go and do it. If a person didn't feel some connection with Hashem, why would he waste his time? And unfortunately, that's why some people go off. They grew up doing the mitzvahs because their parents told them to. But if they don't feel it by thinking about it, and it just means nothing to them, then they stop doing it. So when we do it, it means there is a love and the desire to cleave to Hashem. How? Our way of expressing that love is through performance of mitzvahs and studying Torah. This Torah study and fulfilling the mitzvah constitute the whole purpose of man. For it is written, I command you these mitzvahs that you do them this day. This day refers specifically to this world of physical action. The Alter Rebbe's point is that the main objective in the mitzvah, to love Hashem, lies not in the love itself, but in the practical and wholehearted fulfillment of the commandments that is motivated by this love. Whether you know it or not, whether you're doing it consciously or not, there's no reason why you would do it, and you wouldn't do it if you didn't have this love. For the main thing in this world is action, so ultimately it has to lead to the physical action. And tomorrow is the afterlife, the reward for the afterlife. You know, a lot of times people are focused on, what you're doing, you're going to have such a lichtliche Gan Eden, you're going to get schar in Olam Haba. We don't necessarily focus on that too much. Let's focus on the opportunities that we have in this world. When we get there, we get there. So Alter Rebbe literally says, this will be b'makom acher. We'll explain this another time, in another place. So how does this love motivate one to perform a mitzvah? This is the Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain, and we'll get a little bit more into it tomorrow, but just to scratch the surface, shalit b'tivoy v'seladatoi al cholol asmoli shebelev v'al piv v'al kol evorov hevorim shehem kli hamaisa. The mind, by virtue of its inherent nature, is master over the left part of the heart. What's the left part of the heart? Where the nefesh hativis, the nefesh abahamis dwells. And that's not so much the Tahara, but the animalistic tendencies, the desire to just keep on eating until, for no reason, or to eat when I don't need to eat, or sweets that are not good for me, or to go after certain desires that my eyes wander to. Or to, I don't want to go to sleep because I'm having too much fun doing whatever, but you have to go to sleep because whatever it is that your natural soul just wants to do for selfish reasons. So the mind can control that. It's not always evil, but it's not focused on Hashem. It's the other side. So the natural soul sits on the left side of the heart, and that's where your desires and evil thoughts come from. And over the mind has control over the heart and over the mouth and over the other bodily organs, which are the instruments of action. So by having in mind at least a love of Hashem and a desire to fulfill a mitzvah, one can utilize the natural mastery of the mind to overcome the desire of his heart. I want to go for Slurpees now, but instead I'm going to sit and learn, and we're not going to go for Slurpees today. It's a silly example. But you could say, you know what? I don't need that. This is what I need. This is what I need. So we see that this can be done even by one whose heart is not under his control, the way a tzaddik is. A regular average person has the ability to control his actions, to control his speech, and yes, even to control his thoughts. Takeaway for today, Chevra, is doing a mitzvah is so close to you. And this is what we're talking about when it's within your ability to love Hashem and cleave to Hashem. Just think about Hashem. What does he want? Think about the greatness of Hashem, and you'll come to love him. When you love Hashem, you're going to do what he wants. What does he want us to do? Fulfill the mitzvahs, learn Torah, bring Mashiach. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Happy birthday, Jeff. We'll celebrate your real birthday on Yud Shvat. Yuda, Randy, Steve, Chevra, thanks for coming, and we'll see you, Mitzvah, tomorrow. Mincha today is at 4:50.